Okay, so this would be a feedback slash critique for mfub, or mfub. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. You're gonna have to bear with me because I have no fucking clue on how to play Jin. Like I know basics, and yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'll just give my 2 cents and be like, hey, look, just outside perspective coming in. Here's my 2 cents. You've watched the videos before, so you know the drill, man. Like I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken, and I think Jin's cool. He's not someone that I would like necessarily play, but I like karate, like Shotokan karate and stuff. And Jin's basically Shotokan karate. Like yeah, he's got an electric, and I'm sure karateka don't like have electrics, but he's cool, right? I can't say that I've played him that much, and I know of him, but at the end of the day, it's just my 2 cents, and it's, hey, here's what I think you can be doing based on my knowledge and based on just kind of my experiences fighting Jin, my experiences watching like Cherryberry Mango and Book, right? And at the end of the day, it's just food for thought, and hopefully you get something out of it. Another thing to consider, both for mfub if you're watching this, and then for other players that might be watching this, it's like Sagem released a video about like the Sharingan, the spectator Sharingan, doesn't exist in a match, right? And so anybody watching this, it's like I'm just basically gonna throw a lot of information at you, and a lot of like my perspectives, and like here's these laundry list of things you could have done, right? And that's always gonna be a thing for, and no match is perfect, but it's more so just about, here are just all these routes and options that you have available to you, and you just got to see, you as a player have to decide, okay, here's everything that I can improve on, here's all these options I have available to me. What do I want to prioritize? What do I want to like really work on? Right? Don't force yourself to just, oh, I got to work on everything. How I can't believe I have all this like stuff missing, or blah 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 blah. It's like, no, it's just, here are the things that I noticed, and here's what you can be doing, right? Don't worry too much about like, if you are not doing something, it's not necessarily meaning that like, how dare you not do this thing. It's more so just, here's an option to consider in the future. If I believe if you implement it into your game, you will have a bit, you'll be able to improve your game, right? When you want to implement it, how you want to implement it, that's up to you, right? Everybody learns at their own pace. Everybody just kind of goes on their own journey. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, the usual. I just like Tekken, and I'm just giving my 2 cents. If you have questions, or if you had more specific, like, hey, I actually wanted more information on this aspect of my game. Like, what did you think, etc. Right? Uh, yeah. So, oh shit, that's launched. Ah, that's an unfortunate drop. Oh, nice. Interesting. So this is the thing where we're like, okay, so you're in an infinite stage. Is that the optimal? Is that the optimal Jin ender? Well, so it's like the flip over. You get some Oki. It seems like it gives decent Oki, right? So in an infinite stage, do you just go for the pure damage all the time and sacrifice the Oki, or do you try and be like, let me try and keep up my momentum now that I got a launch, and then try to like do an ender for Oki, right? Uh, I'm of the opinion, I don't know, like I guess it's really up to Jimbo. I don't know like how good his keep out and his keep out stuff is. I think it's like solid, but it's like just go for the damage, right? I don't know. Okay, that's fine. Mm, nice, nice. Uh, eh, nice. What did you? So down back four from Jimbo is still, it's the stature kick, right? You're +3. That's not that bad. I guess I'm just curious as to like what you pressed after the. Did you go for another one? That's interesting. Up, up. Ah. Right. Okay. Oh, nice. Get the combo. Is that death? Nice. So that's the thing. That's the thing I gotta wonder, right? Like, why the overcommitment to these strings and the transitions? Like, I'm seeing a lot of strings, and I don't know if that's just Jimbo's like optimal neutral or something, but you're facing like you're in the mirror match, right? And someone who's got TGP with, I mean, ranks don't matter, but let's just ignore the obvious. You're facing a TGP Jin, and he's at least going to be more aware of the gaps in your strings versus someone who doesn't play Jin, right? And so you are taking a risk of, okay, if I commit to my strings and I commit to these like mix-ups, there's a very likely chance that I'm gonna get blown up, right? So I don't think committing to these string offenses are really the play, right? Like occasionally throw them out, but you really just want to focus on, okay, what's the least amount of commitment I can make? And Jimbo's got some pretty solid like single hitting moves, right? Like single pokes, and like I get he's this is tough where it's like, he's got all these tools on paper, but in actual application he's actually pretty hard, and I get that, but it's kind of like you have to focus more on conditioning before you can really go in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna start applying like my usual string pressure or forward four cancels or 2-3 cancels or whatever the strings are, right? I'm not too familiar with them, but it's just kind of like, okay, first focus on figuring out what your opponent likes to do. Granted, I guess this is match 4 of like 4, so by this point maybe you'll have a better idea and you're kind of like, I'm pretty confident in this, so maybe that's the thing. But I just feels like like this, after these many rounds, right, you're committing to the string mix-ups is also just kind of like it's a risky commitment, right? Because you're facing someone who's familiar with the character and knows where the gaps are and what to do. Especially when Jin, who is, he's got his parry at any point. So any commitment to these strings is highly risky, unless you're going for like the memes, like Zen, the Zen Hell Sweep or something, and it's tough. But I think the safer option is to forego those for the moment and just focus more on, let me get in my chip ins with down 4, down back 4, etc., and just keep chipping away at him. Oh, so is that also an optional ender, right? Ending with an electric, because he leaves you in a pretty good position. Maybe the damage isn't there, but just kind of like the positioning that you get off of it is pretty solid. And that's another thing, is that you can see that, okay, so he does the wavoo into down 2, right? The ground hitting stuff, because he expects you to stay on the ground. And that's also a thing I feel like you should adapt into your gameplay of like, okay, I'm dashing into my opponent, I'm trying to apply some Oki, and the opponent just stays down. And it's like, okay, well, if you're just gonna stay down, I'll just do my down 2. Right? Because the previous 2 knockdown situations you had against Big Boss, he just like stayed on the ground and was perfectly fine, right? He just waited for you to whiff something and then chose to get up and do stuff. So against opponents like that, use your ground hitting tools, right? Just like he did there. Oh, that's like the nut double over stun, right? Couldn't you have just done hop kick right then and there? Maybe. That's fine. Oh, nice. Does it drop? Oh, a tragedy. A tragedy. Is that like a thing for that combo? Like, I know back turn combos are always just really awkward. That sucks. That sucks, man. Okay, so like right here, what's going on here? What tool are you using? I guess like future gameplay videos, you know, you want to have like the inputs showing up on screen so we can have a better idea of what's going on through your head at that moment. But it feels like you're just challenging with like some pretty slow tools because that string from Jin leaves him pretty minus, right? I'm gonna assume it's like 1-2-4 or something. Okay, so he's at -4, right? Because he clearly, well, actually, yeah. So he's at -4 and he just immediately destroys you with a jab. So whatever you were doing was slower than 14 frames. Maybe you tried to do down forward one and you just got like stuffed because of online environment. Yeah, because your down forward one's pretty solid. It's 13 frames. That's pretty good. -3. It's only 10 damage? Why? Do you have extensions? Oh, you do have extensions. That's so interesting. What are some other extensions? Oh, do you only have down forward 1 and down forward 1-4? Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so is this NC? Is this a natural combo? That's pretty good, right? Interesting. Yeah, so I guess I'm just not sure. Again, it's like, what exactly was the thought process here? What were you hoping to press that was gonna beat him out of a jab? Right? He's at -4. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Again, you see like the overcommitment. It's like he's gonna have he knows what you're doing, right? Like he knows Jin, and he's gonna have like, all right, I'm gonna challenge Zen stance cancel and force him to commit more to the moves. If you so here's the thing, right? So you commit to the Zen stance, and now you're in a situation of, okay, you either commit to the cancel and then get blown up because he's gonna challenge you, or then that's the mind game of like, well, he's gonna challenge me, so I gotta commit to a move, and then you're committing to a move and it's a lot more riskier, right? Because he can just block, or he can just, if you do like the sweep or some other low or something, he can just hop kick and blow you up. um, Excuse me. So you gotta be careful, right? Why the overcommitment to Zen? What situation in here do you expect to, you know, like right here? What about here made you think that like, oh, I should cancel into Zen? Do you expect to get a counter hit? Do you expect to? What's your strategy here? Right? Like I'm not too familiar with Jin, so I'm not really sure. Is it always good to go into the Zen stance cancel, or do I just try to poke with forward 4 and then just, you know, hang back? What's forward 4 if you don't cancel? -8, but I don't know. It's got pretty good range and it's pretty far away. I don't know. Nice. That is down forward too. That's pretty good. So, a tragedy. Yeah, that should have been like a commitment to the hop kick. You can duck that, right? Oh no, the tragedy. Oh, he's doing it. Yeah. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, that was a really good side stuff from him. Okay, so. The overcommitment. So what's Jin's 13 frame Punisher? Was it 171? No, that's just the whatever. Oh, you have a 3. Nice. Oh yeah, yeah. So you have that, right? And then Jin down back 4 is -13. Yeah. Okay. So like let's like you know what this move is, right? Like you know. What is it where he blocked it? Like you got this, right? So boom. This should you need. You can't be dropping these punishes, right? This is. It's like. You're throwing away free damage, right? I don't want to harp on missed punishes too much, but again, stressing that like every bit of damage counts, and especially in the mirror match where it's just like you know the ins and outs of your character, and you know what happens when you fight that character, right? Application of tools is going to be different, right? Like Jin has forward four, but how Big Boss uses forward four is going to be a whole different ball game versus how you would use it, or how, let's say, if I played Jin, how I would use it. But if I block a move that I know is punishable from my own character, you gotta go for the punish, right? Like you have to make sure you try to reduce the amount of dropped punishes on that end. Yeah, like I don't mean to harp on it too much. It's just kind of like, hey man, you can't be doing that, because one, even ignoring the life deficit, right? Just kind of like, why you're just leaving out damage, or you're losing out on damage, easy damage, right? Okay, that's good. Ah, rip. Ah. It was good backdash, but I guess 4 is really hard to whiff punish. This Magic 4 is so good, it's crazy. Nice. Nice. Okay. Mm. Oh, that's some fancy shit. You should steal that. Oh, rip. Mm. Unfortunate. The hell? I've never seen that move. Oh, nice. What? What? Oh, it's the video. Okay, so this is yeah, because I remember I watched this match a while ago, just kind of like trying to see. All right, what the fuck do I know about Jin? Right here, right? Like, you got these combos. Why? Okay. Besides the fact that you knew, like, okay, he has a tendency to stay down, so you should have just done the down two, and then immediately, just gotten the round there. Just do your ground hitting stuff. Um. Oh, I mean, it worked out. Was it this round? I can't remember. Maybe it was this round. I don't even remember. We'll see. But just like, you gave your opponent an extra few seconds of life that could have easily spelled disaster for you. I'm pretty sure Jin's comeback potential is like fine. He has a pretty solid rage drive, right? So again, it's just unnecessary risk that didn't need to be there. And yeah, it was just weird, but it happens. Whatever. Mm, mm. I think I probably missed it, but basically there's just like a round where you rip the punish. You had like a life lead, and it was just you had the life lead, and I'm not sure. Oh, was it here? Oh my. Yeah. Is there another one? Oh, this looks like the last one. Yeah, where you had the life lead, and it's just like, all right, cool, you have the life lead, and then you just aggressively rushed in for some reason. I'm not sure what exactly was like the point of that, right? Mm. Is that a mid high or is that like mid mid? I swear that's like a mid high or something. Oh, nice parry. Is that like the damage ender? Wow, his electric's like very weird. Rip. I can. I was like wondering about that. I'm like, why don't Morgans aggressively use the electric for the plus frames? And then I see it whiff in front of their face. I'm like, oh, his hitbox is just like trash. That's pretty funny. Too bad we can't all be like Bob. And just have like a. Oh, let me just have this impossible to whiff punish CD1. Hmm. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, you need to steal that. That shit's pretty dirty. Oh, that's pretty dirty. Uh, okay, so okay, so the usual breakdown: neutral, uh, punishment slash matchup knowledge, combos slash Oki, and personal opinion stuff. Neutral, you were just on rails the entire time. I never saw like a single sidestep this entire match or series of matches, and I get that Jin has like a homing magic 4 and some other tools, yada yada yada, and there's a bunch of stuff, right? Like he's Jin, he's just got a bunch of stuff, but it feels like you were just so rigid in your movement and you didn't sidestep or try to challenge things, whereas Big Boss was constantly trying to sidestep your down back 4, sidestep your wake up or your toe kick, right, and just got these easy opportunities based on that. Or like especially on your wake up, like he had the read on your move and he's just like, I'm gonna sidestep here. So you need to start incorporating some form, like you got to start moving around the screen a bit more and just kind of like, all right, I know this character. If you do down back 4, if you do X thing here, I can basically, like, I get Jin has tools to counteract a lot of sidestepping, but at far ranges, like, what is his magic 4 really gonna do, right? So instead you just go, okay, at these ranges I know that your only effective tools without from complete neutral, right? If he starts dashing in, that's a different story. We'll talk about that later. But you just go, okay, I know from this range you are only really able to utilize these tools effectively, and these tools are counteracted by movement in this direction. So then you can kind of you have a bit of control over what your opponent is doing. Like Big Boss is TGP player, like he's gonna be aware of these things. So when he starts to see you moving, that's going to influence his decision making of like, okay, he's moving in this direction. That influences which tools I'm gonna start using, and he's gonna try and focus more. He may or may not try to focus more on, I need to discourage the sidestepping first and then go back to whatever tools I wanted to use, right? So incorporating those sidesteps is very important because it influences the tools that your opponent will decide to use. And if you don't sidestep ever, the opponent just has free reign to use whatever tools he wants, right? So definitely need to be challenging that a bit more. You're neutral in terms of poking. A lot of strings and a lot of overcommitment to these string cancels, zen cancels, and all this other stuff, right? And And there was just no reason for any of that. Everything you're doing with just constantly pressing forward 4 meant nothing because there wasn't any sort of variety in your poking. It was a lot of like highs and mids. There was rarely a down back 4, rarely a down 4 to kind of be like, okay, you're just going to be stand blocking all of this stuff. Let me chip in with the low, right? Or if you're just going to stand block everything, let me just do a throw. Jin has a full throw game. And yeah, it's like he doesn't have, a cheaty throw like giant swing or something. That doesn't matter. What matters is you are forcing your opponent to be more aware of your options, right? Like Jin is very holistic. He has to use every tool in his arsenal to a degree, right? He's not just the forward 4, forward 4, go burr machine. Utilizing the throws, even against an opponent who's, very knowledgeable in Jin, right? Even in the mirror match, it's something that it's another option that they have to keep track of, and that shit gets hard, right? Of all the million things that I have to be aware of when fighting Jin, if you add on an extra thing, that could be that extra bit of stress or mental, adding to that mental stack that you need in order to wear down your opponent's offense and create an opening. So just, and I'm not saying start throwing the guy all over the place, but just when you see the hesitation and okay, if I do forward 4 here, he's just going to block it. Let me instead just go for a throw, right? Give them incentive to be on the lookout for things and maybe try to duck a bit more so that your mids have a bit more oomph to them, right? They are more likely to get in for chip damage or hit or something. And it's the same thing with your lows. At these, I don't remember. Oh shit. I'll watch that later. So like at this range, right? Instead of dashing in for whatever reason, like why do you need to dash in, right? I'm pretty sure your jab or down forward 1 would reach. You do down back 4 here, right? And just get some chip damage in, and then from the frame advantage that down back 4 would give you, then you start to do like a jab or down forward 1 or do down 4, right? Not enough of, so stuff like that, right? What are the ranges you're working at? What tools have you used previously? There's a lot that goes into this. Okay, first and foremost, what range are you at? What tools are effective at this range, right? Like down back 4's got pretty good range, down 4's got pretty good range, and it high crushes pretty fast, right? And the chip damage is valuable because that's less work you have to be doing, right? Throw in a few pokes, and that's maybe one less combo you have to do, and that matters a lot. And then, so once you have a good idea of your range, what tools have you been using throughout the match? You've been using a lot of jabs, you've been using a lot of mids and forward 4. So how do you supplement that? How do you make them more effective? You start putting in throws and lows, because those will incentivize people to challenge you, right? So if they try to challenge you, your jabs can do some more work because they're the fastest thing available, right? And if instead, like, so let me start over a little bit. If you want to utilize jabs more, throws and lows are very effective because maybe the opponent will try to like hop kick you or try to challenge you or something, but your jab is the fastest thing on this earth, so you'll more than likely be able to jab them out of it, right? If you want to use more mids, throws and lows, because they'll be more incentivized to duck, and they'll just be like, oh, I should probably duck, and then you'll see more opportunities where your mids are able to get in for chip damage, right? Like even though forward 4 won't get you like a counter hit launch, how much damage does this thing do? 21 damage. That is very respectable damage, right, for a poke. That is an extra 20 points of damage you would not have gotten if you just kept doing forward 4, forward 4, forward 4, Zen cancel, forward 4, right? You need to start utilizing other tools to supplement your, there's an ebb and flow to these things, right? If I start using a bunch of highs and mids and my opponent's just stand blocking, that means I got to start using some lows to incentivize them to duck. And once they start ducking, then you transition back into the mids. Or if they try to challenge you, transition back into the jabs because it's the fastest tool you have available. Kind of harped on that point for too much. Yeah, so like sidestepping, utilizing more of your toolkit than just the kind of like the basics that you had going on. It's not necessarily that the decisions you made were bad or that the tools you're using were bad, right? It's just more so you're not using enough of your other tools to make the tools that you were using a lot more effective, right? Like, it was kind of wordy. Hope that made sense. All right, what else? Aspects in neutral. Jin doesn't really have any plus frames anymore, huh? Yeah, like forward 4 is +3. Like if you hit it meaty, which is nice, but how often is that gonna happen? Yeah, maybe consider using. I'll talk about that more in personal opinion stuff. But yeah, so just that's my opinion on your neutral from what I observed. And let's go into punishment. Punishment, in the mirror match, you gotta start punishing down back 4. You gotta start punishing all that other stuff. It's like, yeah, there's not much else to say there. Uh, Maybe there were some things where you could have whiff punished a bit better, but it's those fast whiffs are very hard. A thing that you need to consider in the matchup is that when Big Boss is using a lot of jabs and highs and stuff, you need to start utilizing down 4, right? Like if you're under pressure from the jabs, use down 4 to get your easy. It's a high crush. Like you don't care if he's jabbing because you crush it, and get in your chip damage. And down 4 is not that. It's not even. It's like neutral on hit, right? It's -1 on hit, so you can't like continue your offense. But again, you high crush from frame 6. It'll help deter a bit more of the strings and a bit more of like, oh, he's just doing strings and highs and I'm just blocking all of them, right? You need to give yourself some breathing room. So using tools that either crush it or just straight up ducking into wall standing 4 is what you want to be doing. How's Jin's wall standing 4? That's pretty low damage. Oh, it's -3 on block though. Holy shit, +9 on hit or +8 on hit? That's really good. Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, so not much on like punishment knowledge besides, keep up your punishment, and then also just if your opponent's doing a lot of highs, use your tools that counteract that. Combo / Oki. This is the part where you definitely want to steal everything that Big Boss is doing, right? Like ending in electric, maybe it's less damage, but the Oki situation seems to be really in your favor. You just have so much advantage. You just run up to your opponent and do whatever you want to do. And then that really fucked up like back turn catch, I guess. Yeah, that shit's dirty. Hot damn. Alright? Hot diggity damn. Steal that, right? Just steal that shit instantly. Definitely do that. Your combos looked fine. It's really just the Oki where you seem to struggle, right? On your Oki, in terms of, you waking up on your opponent, you really just overcommitted to, let me do a toe kick or stay on the ground. It just felt like you had a hard time reading what Big Box was really going to go for. And then also an overcommitment to waking up with a move or just staying on the ground. Those were the only two things I really saw from you. Side rolling is an option. Remember, you never have to stay on the ground until you want to get up. It doesn't matter if he hits you with down 2, right? If down 2 hits you, the pushback from the hit gives you a safer opportunity to wake up in, right? So that's something you got to consider. Just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to stay on the ground or side roll, right? At worst, you side roll. Like you had a really good read on a spring kick one time, like when he did down back 4 and you just spring kicked over it, which is cool. So start utilizing a bit more varied wake up options on your end, right? Don't just commit to toe kick and then staying on the ground, right? You have a lot of stuff you can do on the ground, and you want to utilize that to the best of your ability. Oki in terms of applying your own Oki, right? Like your opponent's on the ground and you run up to them and apply a mix up. Start utilizing more of that, wave down 2 versus grounded opponent stuff, right? Start utilizing more of your ground hitting tools first. First and foremost, give your opponent a reason to stand up into your moves before you start applying these moves that you want to use on their wake up, right? Because it just felt like despite him constantly staying on the ground a lot of times, he did like a spring kick like once, which you hit him out of, which is cool. It just felt like you were just kind of too trigger happy on applying certain moves on Oki that just wasn't the right time, right? It wasn't the worst thing, but you were just not adapting to your opponent. Yeah, steal Big Boss's combo enders just to get that sweet Oki, and then start conditioning your opponent more, right? If they do X, you do Y, which counters X, and then they'll do Z, which counters Y, and then you do X, which counters Z, right? That whole flow of, and it doesn't just apply to, like, keep out, rush down, with punishing, baiting, or whatever the triangle is. It also applies to wake up, right? There's your opponent stays on the ground, you keep doing down two. Your opponent will get up to avoid down two, and then you just do your other moves. Combo / Oki, we covered personal opinion stuff. A lot more just jabs and down forward one, and then doing down forward one into movement, right? Like, you got Jin, you're at -3 after your down forward one, you're at +1 after a jab. Don't commit to these strings, right? Personal opinion stuff. These are options that I think are neat, but obviously your mileage may vary, and obviously I don't play Jin, so take it with a grain of salt, but you know the drill. So more jabs, more down forward one. Why are you overcommitting to these strings that you don't need to be doing, right? What is the reasoning behind, let me just keep doing 1, 2, 4, versus let me do something like 1, 2 and then backdash, or doing 1, 2 into sidestep, or doing 1, 2 into 1, 2, right? Or doing 1, 2 into down forward one because you think your opponent's gonna duck because you were doing 1, 2, 4 a lot, right? And definitely incorporate a lot more movement. If you're at +1 to -4 in that ballpark, start moving around, right? Force Big Boss to use his very powerful but very commitment heavy homing moves, right? Like, okay, yeah, you don't want to step Jin because he's got 4, right? Like, he's got his magic 4. Okay, that's fine. So you make him use the magic 4, and then on that read you just duck, right? If he never does the magic 4, if you never give him a reason to it, you're losing out on a possible opportunity for a whiff punish, right? It's a risk, but it's a risk that can lead to a big reward because you launch him for doing 4 at the wrong time. And you need to incentivize him to use his tools, right? If he's just able to just hammer you down with jabs and down forward 1 and forward 4, he's never going to feel incentivized or see any reason to use his other risky tools, right? And you need to make sure that you incentivize him to do that and give yourself more rooms for more opportunities. Other Jin tools. I have no fucking idea what the hell Jin does. Back 2? What the heck is Jin's back 2? No. More down 4 and down back 4. There are just these ranges where you're pretty close to your opponent where any of your moves will reach. You're at like range 1 to 2, right? But instead of, utilizing your lows or utilizing your throws or doing something, you just do forward 4. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Like, yeah, Jin can just keep doing forward 4 and the opponent has to hold it, but you're also not doing enough to advance your game, right? You're not getting the chip damage you need to be getting. You're not really conditioning him to maybe challenge you a bit more so that maybe you can get a counter hit on forward 4. Stuff like that. I would say use electric a bit more because it's like, it's electric, you're like +5, right? EWGF. Yeah, you're like +5, but obviously his electric the hitbox is kind of weird. Because holy shit, I saw that thing whiff, and it's it's a bit more of a commitment than fucking Kazuya electric. Really, they're the same on whiff? I really doubt that. But and just something, just doing the occasional electric just to kind of give them more reasons to duck so that your mids play out. And if you don't want to use the electric, then use down back 4, right? Figure out tools that once you start utilizing them, your opponent tries to counteract the tools you're using, but then they're opening themselves up to your other tools, right? That whole ebb and flow of the game. Other Jin tools that I think are neat. Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't really say. I think you just need to focus more on utilizing more tools that require less commitment. I mean, I am the guy who just told you to use electric, which from Jin seems to be a pretty heavy commitment. But just doing a singular jab, doing 1-2, and then doing down forward 1 into movement versus constantly committing to these strings, right? Yeah. And then once you start using more lows, you can, start doing waifu into like wall standing 4 and other stuff. So just you open up a lot of opportunities by using a bit more variety of the tools than you currently were. Yeah, Jin just doesn't really have any like crazy plus frame stuff right now, outside of like electric, which is fine. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got, man. Those are just my 2 cents and the usual. If you have more questions, feel free to hit me up. If you have more matches you want me to review, I don't mind helping out. Tekken's fun. I like helping people. If it helps, I'm happy, right? Yeah, I meant to get to it earlier, obviously, but work's just been crazy and just no time. So yeah, so if you have more matches, feel free to send them my way. Just understand that like I'll get to it when I can, right? And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, have a good one. Till next time.